Now that the draft is officially over, what comes next for the Sixers? Today, we'll hear from some of the Sixers' newest draft picks, but we'll also dive into more news and rumors surrounding free agency because let me tell you something. I think a huge move is coming soon, and I'm going to tell you my reasoning on why for that. We'll get into all of it, but welcome in to Philly Take with RB. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. If you enjoy this show, be sure to subscribe, continue to support us. It was a fun draft reaction show. And keep in mind, we're far from done, ladies and gentlemen. We have free agency opening on Sunday evening at 6 p.m. We will be live reacting to all of it. But before we dive in, I have a question of the day for the people out there. If you had to give the Sixers a grade on their draft, what would it be? They draft Jared McCain, and in the second round, they take Adem Bona, a backup big out of UCLA. Give me your thoughts down below. And before we jump into the madness, a shout out to our great sponsor of today's show, and it is Mando. You've probably heard about them because right now they are a leader in the category. They are everywhere, and you can get $5 off the Mando starter pack on shopmando.com by using my code PhillyTake5. Again, on shopmando.com, you can find this bad boy. It is the best, I repeat, the best deodorant that I have ever used. It was created by a doctor who noticed how body odor was being misdiagnosed. And for someone who constantly sweats like me, maybe you're the same kind of way out there and you've had trouble finding good deodorants. This thing is changing the game. We all hear the classic, prevent sweat and odor and it lasts all day and you won't sweat at all. This thing actually lives up to the occasion. It was developed by the founders of Lumi. And as it says right here on the product, has 72-hour odor control. It is smooth, it smells great, and it is clinically proven to control odor better than even a shower with soap alone. So again, the Mando starter pack is the way to go. They give you a lot of cool products. My personal favorite, which I've been using for about 5 months now, is the Mando deodorant, the Mount Fuji style. I like the bourbon leather one. This is the body wash, but also smells really, really good. So once again, go to shopmando.com, get the Mando starter pack and get $5 off by using my code PhillyTake5 upon checkout. All right, let's talk about the 76ers. So yesterday, Bronny James pretty much gets forced to the LA Lakers. If you don't know what happened with that, go check it out. But Bronny's on the Lakers. LeBron is staying. OG Anunoby re-signs with the Knicks. Mikal Bridges traded to the Knicks, right? We got all these guys getting moved. Here's what we're down to, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of a third star. Paul George, who has a couple different options we'll talk about. Brandon Ingram. KD, don't know if he's actually going to get moved. Jimmy Butler, who's pretty much waiting on Miami to give him a max contract. And Larry Markkinen, who probably will not get moved. I mean, if Mikal Bridges got traded for that many picks, imagine what Danny Ainge is going to set the bar at. Okay, so I'm just being honest, right? 3 of these guys most likely will not even move, maybe even more. So what do we do, right? I know that the Sixers are not in the legal period yet where they can go offer contracts, etc., but guys are signing. We know these guys talk to teams. Are the Sixers making a good enough push, or do they already have a strategy where they're sitting back saying, we got this, we're good? I really don't know at this point, and I'm going to tell you where I think they're leaning, but let's start off with Paul George, okay? Because pretty much he can re-sign with the Clippers, he can opt in and force a sign and trade to the Warriors, or just come to Philadelphia, sign here, play with Maxey and Embiid. The reports in recent days say that Paul George does not want to travel across the country and play on the East Coast. That's what everybody's saying. Don't know how true it is. We've heard a lot on both sides, but as it relates to the current situation, this is kind of the main domino, right? Once this happens, then we kind of know where things are headed. And if the Sixers swing and miss and they don't get their guy PG, then what? Then what? Where do they go? Do they make a trade? Do they just sign a bunch of free agents? Where are we at? Because I think the options are dwindling a little quicker than people realize. And as of right now, man, I don't know what to think. Now, Paul George does have until tomorrow to opt into his player option. And that will tell us a lot, right? If he opts in and then tries to force a trade, we'll know he's going that way. If he opts out, then I would probably think he's either going to sign a max with LA or he's going to come to Philadelphia. So we'll know a lot more tomorrow in terms of what Paul George's decision is, and we'll keep our eyes on it. But ladies and gentlemen, I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I think it's becoming real. I think if the Sixers swing and miss on Paul George, they're getting Brandon Ingram. And here's a quote from Jake Fisher's article today. Shout out to Harrison for posting it here. Quote, Ingram has been listed among Philly's targets this offseason. Sources said somewhere below George, although it's not exactly clear where Ingram ranks among the Sixers' proverbial group of wing targets to slot between Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. All these other guys have to have something else happen, right? And obviously you have to trade for Ingram, but I see all the reason in the world that Daryl Morey would do this if he swings and misses on every other option. I still feel like he wants to get a star. And listen here, this is why, okay? The Sixers can already re-sign their free agents. We know that, right? After the finals, the new rule this year, they could have already re-signed Batum, Lowry, Oubre, anybody else that has been here, right? They have the most pending free agents. And don't you think it's a little weird that they haven't signed one guy yet? That would lead me to believe they're going in for the big fish. And then after they get that player or trade for Ingram and sign him, etc., then they're going to fill out the rest of the roster. Because if not, why haven't they re-signed all these players yet? I think it is leaning towards either a Paul George signing, and if that doesn't work, then they're going to trade for Brandon Ingram. Now, a couple other players that we have heard, especially more today and yesterday, one is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, right? He's been linked to the Sixers. It feels like he's going to be a Sixer, and I'm not mad at that at all. He has championship pedigree, guy who can shoot 40% from three, good two-way wing, can defend, getting up there in age, but again, has been to the top of the game, has won championships, easy plug and play next to Maxey and Embiid, could demand around 20, 25 per year. You might have to overpay a little bit and take a risk to bring him in. It feels like he is on the high target list for the 76ers. But another player, and I want to know your thoughts on this in the chat. What if the Sixers got Klay Thompson? Like, I'm trying to talk myself into Klay, and I'm looking at the numbers, and I know he was terrible last season, but he did get moved to the bench, started to play better. It was hard for him to accept his role, but it's Klay freaking Thompson. I know he's 34. It's like the summer of 34-year-olds. Everybody is 34. But anyway, Klay Thompson still averaged 18 points per game last year. And again, it's not like he was a primary option in the offense, and he did shoot 38% from three on 9 attempts per game. And that was like the worst year he's ever had. Imagine if Klay can get some of his mojo back, have a bigger role, buy in. I mean, if we could just get the 2 years ago version of Klay Thompson next to Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, it would be tremendous. Klay Thompson, KCP, Maxey, Embiid, is that good enough? Does that work? I don't know, man, but we're hearing a lot of smoke, and it would not surprise me at all if Daryl Morey goes out and pays Klay Thompson. Now, I wouldn't overpay for him. He wants a 3-year contract. I don't know if I'd do that, but if there is an opportunity and you can take a short-term risk on Klay Thompson, would the Sixers do that? I think they would be interested. So we'll have to wait and see and see how it plays out. Couple other free agents to keep your eyes on. Jalen Smith declined his player option. Definitely think the Sixers could look at him as a backup forward off the bench, backup big as well at times. And Eric Gordon, although I do not want him, seems like it has Daryl Morey written all over it. Former Rocket, had him before. Eric Gordon declined his option, free agent. I just feel like he's going to be a Sixer. But let's talk about some of the guys that the Sixers do have, and we'll start with Jared McCain. Here is his first TikTok. The Sixers TikTok era of Jared McCain has begun, and let's take a look. Here he is, man. This was his intro press conference today, and he's already making TikToks. I'm not going to comment on it further. I just hope that, he shows up. Because if not, every bad game, Sixer fans are going to be showing these type of things on Twitter, Instagram, etc. Here's what Jared McCain, though, had to say. I listened to a bit of his press conference. I really liked what he said. Seemed like he was, mature, professional, has a good head on his shoulders. Same thing with Adem Bona. Both these guys sounded very well versed. And he says, a lot of people don't like it, but that's fine with me in terms of how he is off the floor, being true to himself, and just being, his style of person. And in terms of using Duke, comparing it to Philly, he says, being at Duke, the best college country in the program in the country, you learn at the top. There are going to be haters. You learn to live with it. Coming to Philly, where it's kind of the same vibe, I've already learned from it. So he seems ready to embrace. I like the things he says. It reminded me of Maxey on draft night when he got emotional, when he got drafted by Philly. So that's a guy I want to root for. I definitely do. I hope he is ready to work and try to make an impact immediately. Because again, 20 years old, yeah, he was on my top draft board list, but he's more of a developmental piece, right? He's only 20, needs time, and he only had 1 year in college. So although his numbers were amazing and showed signs of potentially being a star down the line, there are questions. Can he play with Tyrese Maxey? He's a bit undersized. How is it going to work, right? But the Sixers obviously looked at McCain, maybe not the best fit for the team. I think Connect would have been a better fit, but they looked at McCain and probably said, he's our best talent available, and they went with him. Lastly, Jared McCain says that he used to ask his trainer who to watch on defense, and he sent me a lot of Fred VanVleet highlights, being sneaky, trying to get steals, deflections, and being a good off-ball defender. So he's taking notes from Fred VanVleet. I'm sure Nick Nurse will like that. And yeah, Jared McCain's a pretty good defender as well. So again, he brings a lot of skills to the table. It's just, what are the timelines, right? Does it match up? Maybe he'll even be used in a trade. I don't know what to expect, but as of right now, he is a 76er, and hopefully he's ready to go. Now, the other guy that the Sixers got, who we'll talk about more extensively, is Adem Bona. And I actually really like this guy. Watching his tape, man, he is explosive. He pops right off the screen. And this year he says, quote, "One of the things I would love to show is to be able to do everything defensively, on ball, pick and roll, switching. That's one thing I think I would love to show my rookie year, and also offensively to be able to initiate plays, get out the pick and roll, and play fast, which is one of my strengths." All the things you want to hear as a coach. And both these guys just seem to have that winning mentality. Like they want to step in and just do whatever they can to impact winning, which is very good to hear as a team. Kevin O'Connor, who did a lot of pre-draft interviews, says this about Adem Bona, quote, "He will be the best backup in Joel Embiid's Sixers career. Pure energy and hustle. His versatility could also enable him to play with Embiid for two big lineups, and Embiid can space on offense, while Bona can handle perimeter matchups on defense." Very versatile defender. Can't do much offensively outside of the paint. Doesn't shoot any threes. Can barely hit free throws, but a lot of room to improve if he can develop a jump shot. And I agree with the hustle part. Like, just watching this guy's tape, he is explosive. Reminds me a bit of Charles Bassey when the Sixers drafted him. And go watch this guy's tape if you have not yet. He looks very exciting. And if they do decide to waive Paul Reed, it looks like this guy's going to be the one to step in. And it is very telling about where this team is moving going forward. Lastly, Jonathan Givony says there isn't a harder playing prospect in the draft than Adem Bona. His combination of mobility, length, power, quickness off his feet, and intensity gives him considerable defensive potential. He should be one of the first players off the board this afternoon. He said that before the second round, and it took him to pick 41, but he was available. Don't really know why he fell this far, and the Sixers took a gamble. So that's where we're at. The 76ers have two new players in the draft. They kept both picks. They did not trade for anybody, and now they have some decisions to make. Are they going to bring back a couple of their own free agents? Are they going to go get Paul George? Is it going to be Brandon Ingram? Are they going to go in the Durant sweepstakes if he becomes available? Or the one concern I have is that they want a couple guys and they swing and miss. And then it's like, okay, you're getting to a point now where can you compete with the Knicks, the Celtics, maybe the Heat, a couple other teams, right? Other teams are getting better. The Sixers hopefully have a plan in place come Sunday. Like, here's my dream scenario. The Sixers at 6 p.m. on Sunday announce 3 signings or a trade, and we know what they're going to do. They cannot sit back any longer and just say something will fall into our lap. They need to make some moves. Otherwise, if I'm Joel Embiid, I'm getting frustrated. What are you doing to give me help come playoff time? It can't just be these couple draft picks. So we'll see what happens. Overall, in the grade for the draft, I'm going to give them a B because I think these guys do have some really good potential. But again, the timeline is a little bit confusing for me right now. I feel like Connect would have been a nice plug-and-play guy who could start on day one. We'll just have to wait and see. And in a couple days, we'll have our answers. So appreciate everybody tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.